first class of Sociology Rapid Revision Program. So in this Rapid Revision Program, as I have mentioned, so if at all some students are watching this video I request you to watch that I have taken an orientation session with respect to rapid revision. So I have briefly explained also. So what do we cover in this, how do we go about with this session, with this course. So in this course you will have roughly around 30 classes. In these 30 classes I will be finishing entire Sociology paper 1 and paper 2. Classes are not going to be clustered together. Between these classes you will have test series, you will have revision classes. How revision classes is there is to, in this class if at all we finish this first unit, Sociology the discipline. So in this, after this you will have second chapter, after that you will have third chapter. So if on the day 1 we will finish the first chapter, in day 2 we will be finishing the second chapter, and day 3 and day 4 we are going to finish research methods, and we will spend 2 days on research methods. The reason why we will spend more time on research method is UPSC is asking more questions from research methods, and these questions are being asked as compulsory questions. So that is the reason why we will focus on third day and fourth day on research methods, and fifth day you will have a revision break where you will revise first unit, second unit and third unit. So after this revision, on the 6th day you will have the test series for the first 3 units. So this is how I divided. In the orientation session I have shown you the schedule also. So I request you to watch that orientation session. Now let me still I'll give you some general instructions with respect to this course. So what are the general instructions with respect to this course is, this course is not replacement. Just by watching this course you will not get 300 marks. See what is the reason behind this course is, yes, every student have done their foundational course. Okay, so you have done this foundational course. Now this Sociology Rapid Revision Program, this Sociology Rapid Revision will complement your earlier understanding of sociology in foundational course. So how in foundational course, mostly like when you are listening to foundational course, because you might have been overburdened with GS, or you might not have understood some concepts. There is void with respect to conceptual clarity. So these classes will fulfill that void. Like for suppose if you have understood that, let us take about first unit only, modernity and the emergence of sociology. So what is modernity? When suddenly I ask you, you will not be in a position to explain that. So in a simple terms, in a simple means, simply we will try to understand what is modernity. Okay, how Renaissance led to the emergence of Renaissance is a cultural movement. This cultural movement led to an emergence of new ideology, that is modernity. So what is Renaissance, how Renaissance led to modernity, and how emergence of modernity led to the rise of sociology. This we will try to understand. In this, if there is any conceptual clarity, for suppose, let me tell you, when there is a void of conceptual clarity, many people would not have understood what is Renaissance. Many people would not have understood enlightenment. Okay. Next, what is the difference between Renaissance and Enlightenment? You might not be knowing that. So what is the core context of Renaissance? What is the core context of Enlightenment? Renaissance is talking about, it is a cultural movement. This cultural movement is bringing social change and intellectual change in the European society, which started in Italy, which led to entire Northwest Europe, has been spread to entire Northwest Europe. So this Renaissance, which is a cultural movement, earlier, before Renaissance, there was a dark age. Renaissance replaced this dark age with, in dark age, you see, religion was the center of mankind, of the society. Renaissance replaced religion with human centric. So the focus of Renaissance is humanism. Okay, Renaissance emphasized on creativity. Okay, now what is enlightenment? Enlightenment focused on the aspect called reasoning. Okay, enlightenment focused on the aspects called reasoning. Enlightenment focused on promoting critical thinking. It promoted scientific temper. Okay, this is how Renaissance liberated human mind from the clutches, from the stagnation of European society. So it liberated European society. But whereas Enlightenment laid foundations for how to develop this society scientifically, how to foster scientific thinking, how to foster enlightenment, how to foster logical thinking. This is how you differentiate between Renaissance and Enlightenment. So mostly in your foundation course you would not have understood this difference. So in our classes, by this means we will try to understand these simple concepts. So at the end of the day, I am going to revise entire syllabus in these classes, in these 30 classes, but we will be very to the point. We will try to the point, but we will try to have a comprehensive idea. We will not try to just state facts and move forward. We will try to focus on comprehensive idea. Like comprehensive idea, now for suppose when we are talking about modernity only, we will be discussing about. I'll try to give you an example also, how in our classes, through our classes, how we will aim for comprehensive understanding. At the end of the day, when you are writing mains, comprehensive understanding is the key for success. And why students are not able to cross above average marks is because of that. They are having a segregated understanding. They are not able to understand comprehensively. They are not able to look beyond the book. Okay, that is how these classes are going to help you. So you are not going to discard your foundational course material. If you have made a material for yourself with respect to sociology, if you have consolidated it, all you have to do is listen to my classes. Wherever there is a conceptual void, wherever there is a lack of connectivity, wherever there is a lack of comprehensive understanding, if some topics you might not have understood properly, through our classes you can complement it. So these lectures are going to complement your knowledge. Okay, and these lectures also, wherever there are necessary, I will try to give you contemporary lens also. So contemporary understanding, more or less when it comes to first chapter, second chapter and third chapter, you will not have some value additions. So in these lectures we will be doing value additions also when it comes to thinkers, when it comes to Karl Marx, when it comes to Durkheim, so Weber. So like you see now digital governance is digital governance is at the center of governance all over the world. So how Weber would look into this digital governance. Now you see too much of automation is happening. How Karl Marx would have studied this automation. How Karl Marx understanding can help us to understand this automation. Okay, when we are seeing there is so much of social chaos, how Durkheim theory can be brought in, can be fitted in to understand how to bring back social stability in the society. So this is how we will be trying to emphasize on conceptual understanding. So this is the essence. So don't read your notes properly, revise your notes properly before attending this lecture. Revise your notes, and while going through this lecture, if at all there is any factual when there is any conceptual lag, you can cover it up. And the value additional material which I am going to give, okay, I will speak 1 minute about that. Value additional material I will give you, it will be very extensive. Like I will show you also. Now I will show you the value added material. I will try to give you how to write introductions, how to conclude. I have included model answers, like I have included thinkers, and what are the codes of thinkers, where you can use those thinkers, that I try to use, so that you can use it there. Okay, so this is how this material will add upon your notes. Okay, so don't try to remember all the thinkers mentioned in this material. If in your book, if there is any thinker which is missed, so if you feel that thinker is very important, try to include that. So this is how our classes are going to be done. Okay, so this is how we are going to deal with classes. Now, let us start with the first unit. Okay, modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. Sir, first unit, there are times from first unit. Okay, there are times from this first unit. UPSC has asked 50 marks from this first unit. Okay, so sometimes it has extended to 60 marks also. So you see, sociology and common sense, they asked for 20 marks, and when it comes to modernity and social change in Europe, it led to emergence of sociology, they asked 20 marks, and they also asked a 10 marker with respect to intellectual antecedents with respect to emergence of sociology, or they asked about like write briefly, compare and contrast history with sociology, compare and contrast sociology with anthropology, compare and contrast. So this is how they talked about. So first unit will definitely give you minimum of 30 marks. Okay, at max it can lead to 50 marks also. So first unit is very important. So let us directly jump to first unit, and I will take this as a base that you know something about sociology. I will not directly talk about what are the factors all contributed to Renaissance and all. So I will not come from the basic, how man evolution led to critical thinking, that led to promotion of Renaissance, that led to emergence of Renaissance, and we will not go into the Roman Empire, how Roman Empire earlier was prosperous and then it went into stagnation. So that is how Europe went into dark ages. So after dark ages, okay, till 5th century, you know that Europe was prospering, and like before that Europe was prospering until 5th century it was in dark ages. It was prospering, and after that you see from 5th century till 14th century, 15th century, you see Europe was undergoing Europe was dark age. Okay, 14th or 15th century, not that much important. Next you see this later centuries, you see gradually you see the emergence of Renaissance. Okay, this Renaissance, after that you see 18th and 19th century, you see gradually emergence of French Revolution and American Revolution, and this French Revolution, American Revolution, and gradually you see this led to Industrial Revolution. Okay, this briefly you know. Okay, this is how Europe was in under dark ages, and gradually we see the Renaissance emerged, and then this Renaissance led to Enlightenment, and this overall Renaissance, Enlightenment, this led to French Revolution and Industrial Revolution, all this led to modernity. Okay, so this you know briefly. Okay, so now when we are talking about Europe was under dark ages, and we see the dawn of modernity. This dawn of modernity might be through Renaissance, okay, Enlightenment, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution. Okay, so this we saw the dawn of modernity, and this dawn of modernity led to social changes in Europe. What are the social changes in Europe? Okay, what are the social changes we saw in urbanization, secularism, humanism, division of labor, market forces, democracy, liberty, equality, fraternity. Okay, so this we see, and we also see the emergence of what you say, family is also undergoing changes. So social changes, so entire European society was also undergoing changes. We see urbanization was there, secularization, humanism, secularism, and religious pluralism. Okay, religious pluralism promoted. Next, economic liberty was promoted. So we see here, we can also talk about economic revolution. So this and division of labor, mass production, productivity has increased. So all these are the social changes, economic changes and political changes. Not only social changes, economic changes and political changes. So all these changes led to emergence of social challenges. So what are the social challenges? We see increasing crimes, slums, poverty is rising, next alienation is rising, exploitation is increasing, nuclear families are emerging, okay, and unhygienic living is increasing, insecurity is increasing, anomie is increasing. So these are all the social challenges which emerged in Europe. So now this is what we see, the dawn of modernity, and with the rise of social challenges we see the fall of modernity. So rise and fall of modernity. So sociology emerged with respect to studying these social challenges. There was an intellectual and there was a need, there was a void, because why sociology emerged? Because these social challenges there was no other discipline which was there to study these social challenges, all these social challenges which is emerging in Europe. So against this we see there was a need for a discipline to emerge, and sociology emerged as a discipline to study this rise and fall of modernity, to study about this changing social changes and social challenges rising in the society. Or you can say, like, you can also talk in this context also, like Europe was stagnant, okay, there was an external force which was applied on this stagnant European society, and this led this external force, that is Renaissance, French Revolution, industrial, any perspective. Why I am talking about 2-3 perspectives is, this is a question which is bound to come. When you have multiple perspectives, you can write a better answer. Okay, so when external forces like Renaissance, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution is applied on this European society which is stagnant with feudalism, religious centric, okay, there was a predomination of Catholic thought process, okay. So Martin Luther, he led to Calvinism was founded. So this is how you can also talk about. So the European society which was stagnant because of external forces like Industrial Revolution and Renaissance, Enlightenment and French Revolution led to change, and this European society has seen some change. Okay, so this to study this also, okay, so sociology emerged, okay. So this is also, we can see, when this European society is changing, means European society is undergoing change. So we see social dynamics emerging in Europe. So sociology emerged as a understanding or as a synthesis of social statics. These are social statics and these are social dynamics. That way also you can write, or you can also write sociology emerged in Europe with rise of modernity and counter fall of modernity, or enlightenment and counter enlightenment. You also know that when we are talking about this, okay, see, I know that this is one topic every student have profound knowledge, Okay, that is the reason why I am not beating around the bush. I am giving respect to your understanding, to your knowledge, and only sticking to main points. Now, so Enlightenment focused on bringing change in Europe, and counter Enlightenment thinkers. In counter Enlightenment we have conservativists. Okay, Joseph Maestri, de Bonald. These questioned Enlightenment. These questioned the changes in Europe, and there were radical scholars. Who are that? Karl Marx, Durkheim, Auguste Comte, and Weber questioned this Enlightenment, and they became counter Enlightenment scholars. So you can also talk about Enlightenment and counter Enlightenment. So these are the different perspectives. You have to understand how modernity and its fallout led to emergence of sociology. Okay, whether they might be talking about synthesis of social statics and dynamics, they will be talking about Enlightenment and counter Enlightenment, they would talk about social changes and social challenges emerging led to this, or they can also ask about, very importantly, they will be talking about intellectual antecedents behind emergence of sociology. So intellectual antecedents, you need to, these are all intellectual antecedents. You can also write about academic antecedents like philosophy of history, political philosophy, biological, Herbert Spencer. Okay, so organic. So this you can also write about that. So how socio-religious reform movement, economic political movements. So all this also contributed to the emergence of sociology. So when you are talking about, particularly they are asking about intellectual antecedents, you include all those things. Particularly if at all they are asking about social challenges, you write emphasis on this point. Based on the demand of the question, you have to justify. If at all it is about Enlightenment and counter Enlightenment, focus on that aspects. So this is how we see rise of sociology. Now this is one perspective to look into. This is one question, one type of question definitely they would be asking. Next, you need, when we are going into 10 markers, 20 marker they would ask. In 10 marker they will also ask about, particularly about Renaissance, how Renaissance brought changes in thought process or in Europe. So that you have to understand how Renaissance brought change in thought process. In change in thought process, you can say that earlier people were thinking only on the lines of religion. Education was only religious education. So that has been changed. Scientific thinking was also changed. Okay, so that you have to write. How Renaissance, earlier everything was text, literature, sculptures were centered around religion. But Leonardo da Vinci drawed the portrait of human anatomy, and Michelangelo built a human statue. So these type of changes have radically changed how humans perceived, how humans thought in the society. So then they can also ask about how Renaissance led to political changes, how Renaissance led to economical changes. So either they will be asking about how Renaissance, Enlightenment led to this French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, or they will be particularly asking about features of Renaissance. So that you have to understand. Okay, so you need to be careful, like what are the characteristics of modernity also. Whenever there is a characteristics of modernity, you have to write about all these aspects. Characteristics of modernity. When there is a characteristics, features of Renaissance, you have to write about that. Okay, next, when you are talking about features of French Revolution, so how French Revolution liberated politically. Okay, how, or you can say that how Renaissance or how modernity, modern thought process led to, acted as a precedence to French Revolution. You can also talk about like when you are talking about modernity, how modernity brought political changes in Europe, okay, through whether it might be French Revolution. So when you are talking about modernity, please be careful that modernity intensified during medieval European period. Modernity, very important. This point, many people might not be having this idea. When you are talking about modernity, first what do you understand by modernity? Modernity is a process. Modernity is a process where new ideas are replacing old ideas, or modern society is replacing traditional society. So modernity, many people think, and many books also emphasize on this point, that modernity is a European phenomena and modernity only emerged in medieval Europe. Very important, you have to understand that. Please be careful that modernity, or being very precise, classical modernity, okay, as textbook academic form, classical modernity intensified in medieval Europe, but modernity, we saw the emergence of modernity, we saw the rise of modernity even before pre-Christian era through the writings of Plato and Aristotle. So what, there might be a question, so tomorrow UPSC might ask a question that modernity has a starting point but modernity doesn't have a end point. So how can you justify that? When you understand that modernity, when modernity started as a thought process, modern thinking. What is modernity? Modern thinking. Modern thinking started before pre-Christian period also in the writings of many scholars, but modernity got consolidated, intensified in Europe, northwestern Europe. That is the reason why it led to its rise and fall, led to the emergence of sociology. So if you understand this point, then immediate debate emerges. You will have a clarity with respect to concept of Eurocentrism. Okay, Eurocentrism. What is Eurocentrism? Eurocentrism is you are looking everything from the lens of Europe. Eurocentrism is one such thought process which said that, which glorified that sociology emerged in Europe. Or first of all, modernity, we saw the modernity, rise of modernity in Europe. But there are so many thinkers, post-colonial thinkers, dependency theory, post-colonial thinkers and dependency theory like Alatas, Syed Hussain Alatas and Bhamra, they talked about that modernity, modernity got, they justified that modernity only consolidated in Europe. But we see instances of modernity in different countries also. Okay, in Japan, in India. Okay, so that is a reason why there was a question also. Critically evaluate that Enlightenment and Renaissance led to emergence of Enlightenment and Renaissance in Europe led to emergence of sociology, where you have to write, yes, Enlightenment and Renaissance led to emergence of sociology, but it is not peculiar to Europe alone. We also saw such a type of emergence of modernity in some other locations. We should move away from Europe-centric thought process. All the thinkers who are European scholars or American scholars glorified this idea. So we have to move away from this Western notion, was being criticized. That is the reason why you see many thinkers are saying that they are justifying that modernity led to the rise of sociology, but they are asking us to rewrite the emergence of sociology. Don't only look into the emergence of sociology from European context. We have to rewrite the emergence of sociology. You can add this point in the conclusion. So these are all the aspects from the first chapter. Repeatedly questions are being asked. Okay, so whether it might be intellectual antecedents, whether it might be scientific revolution, industrial revolution. So, and please be careful with respect to features also when you are talking about industrial revolution. Features are important. 10 marks, you need to write those points. See, suddenly they can ask about, write about industrial revolution. Okay, and significance of industrial revolution in to sociology. You need to understand the features. What are the features of industrial revolution? Mass production, division of labor, the urbanization, it led to urbanization, it led to division of families, it led to division of work, and assembly line production also started. Okay, these features, these type of features are should be on your fingertips. Okay, when they are asking about French Revolution, you have to write about core features of French Revolution. Everyone will be talking about liberty, equality, fraternity, but no one will be talking about like Magna Carta, which we saw the emergence in 12th and 13th century. Okay, where nobles questioned clergy. Okay, so that later on influenced. Okay, later on influenced French Revolution also. Then you can write about how French Revolution is a bourgeoisie revolution. You can write about estate systems of France. So that features you should be aware. Okay, so French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, Economic Revolution, how the thinkers, different scholars led to questioning about restriction of exports, stagnation of economies, that you can write about. Okay, so this is how basically first chapter, in first chapter, modernity and social change in Europe and the emergence of sociology, you have to focus. Okay, so I think that we covered about all the aspects with respect to modernity and emergence of sociology. So please be careful that try to think from diverse point. Okay, see, modernity and social change, question is bound to come. Okay, definitely you will have a question. All I ask you is, instead of writing the same old answer, try to diversify it. Try to use, like how keywords are very much important. How rational thinking is promoted, scientific temper is promoted, empiricism is being promoted. Empiricism is a core context on which the academic strength of sociology has been established. Okay, we are studying sociology scientifically. Okay, these keywords are very much important. How humanism is secularism, these keywords are very much important. Try to use flowchart like how I have drawn. Okay, any other flowchart, I will show you the in my notes also I have given you flowcharts. Okay, and one aspect with respect to this we did not discuss, how Renaissance impacted political change, governance in Europe. Then you need to talk about Montesquieu, Machiavelli, Hobbes and Locke. Okay, then you need to Voltaire, free speech. So this also you have to write. So these aspects are you need to focus on. Okay, these are the broader areas. So Montesquieu talked about separation of power. Rousseau talked about popular sovereignty or general will. Hobbes and Locke talked about social contract. Okay, how there is a social contract which is established between the state and the mass people. And Machiavelli talked about the attributes to be found in a ruler through his book. Okay, so this is how you need to be ready. At the end, your answer should be unique, but your answer can be unique. Uniqueness is later. నేను చెప్తున్నాను చూడండి, what I observed with respect to sociology optional, being very honest, your good honest attempt is, if you write all the basic points with respect to sociology, you will not be in the list if you not write basic points. Don't go for extraordinary points. In all of your answers, if you write basic points, for suppose how Renaissance led to change in governance in Europe, if you write all these points, done. How when you are talking about economic revolution, you write about this Adam Smith and all these thinkers, done. Okay, so this is where people are committing mistake. Okay, so make sure that you write basics of every core topics. Okay, that should be the important. So this we discussed. Okay, I have in this presentation I have given you the previous year questions. Okay, so then I have given you the flow chart, how dark ages, how middle age, and how it led to intellectual currents. Then we see the rise of modernity, then we see the fall of modernity, and how modernity was questioned by conservatives and radicals, and these are the intellectual precedents which led to academic. Okay, this all led to rise of sociology as a distinct sociological discipline. I try to include these keywords also. Okay, I try to use like how different phases. Okay, so this is just for your understanding, such that you will have a clear idea how things have shaped. Okay, so I try to include one line phrases to drop in your answers. Sociology is the child of modernity. Okay, it is given by Robert Nisbet. Next, sociology is the science of modern society. Sociology emerged amidst the tradition from tradition to modernity. The discipline of sociology arose as an intellectual response to the crisis of modernity. Okay, twin revolutions, French and Industrial Revolution, provided the immediate context of sociology. So this is how one line phrases I tried to include. Again I am saying, you know, this will be try to look into this PDF, and for online students who are watching this in YouTube, if you want to get this material, so you can contact this academy, or there is my Telegram channel. Okay, Decode Civils with Vinay. Okay, so in that Telegram channel I will be posting this material. Okay, okay, so in that Telegram channel, or also you can mail me. Okay, you can mail me. devulavinay5@gmail.com, and I will give you the link for our Telegram channel also in the video description in the YouTube. Okay, that I also we will try to do that. Okay, next. So this is how I try to draw that core topics. I try to give a flow charts also. Try to do that. Try to develop this try to include such type of flow charts in your answers. Okay, with respect to modernity. Okay, so you can also draw this. Okay, French Revolution, these are the changes in Europe. Next, it led to social disorder, search for order and stability and cohesion, led to need for a new discipline, that is sociology, and that has been given by all these thinkers. I try to summarize the thinkers also. Okay, I have given so many thinkers, you need not go through all those thinkers context. Okay, just you need to, if at all there is any other thinker which you have not included in your notes, try to focus on them. Okay, so now let us go to second topic in first chapter. Okay, nature and scope of sociology. Okay, nature and scope of sociology, and comparison of sociology with other disciplines. So this is also very important, and every year you have a question from this topic. Once they asked about nature and scope, they asked about scope of sociology, and they also asked about comparison of sociology with common sense. Okay, so from this topic also they were repetitive questions, and this is for sure. Every year there will be either question on sociology versus common sense, alternative year, or sociology relationship with other disciplines. So sociology every year, one question might be, you see one question on sociology versus common sense, or sociology and its relationship with other disciplines. Every year this is repeating. So you see there is a question bound to come from this area. Okay, so what was the question? What is the relationship, similarities and difference between sociology and history in terms of their area of study and methodology? Okay, what is the difference between sociology and history? Next, in what way is the scope of sociology unique? As I said, no, from this area you have 2 questions in 2025. By going by this, that is what I am saying, no, from the first chapter only, sometimes questions weightage would cross 50 marks also. Okay, next, discuss even in 2024 you see, discuss the nature of sociology, highlight its relationship with social anthropology. Delimit the scope of sociology in relation to other social sciences. From the viewpoint of growing importance of multidisciplinary, how do you relate sociology to other social sciences? Next, in the context of globalization, has the scope of sociology has been changing in India? Okay, next, sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and relationship between the two in society. The sociological imagination enables us to grasp the history and biography and the relationship between the two in a society. We will discuss in the model answers also. See, I will not discuss question and answers. See, question and answers, then you tend to write only that type of answers and it will cripple you. I tell you, when those who are watching this rapid revision program, this is not a program where I discuss answers and questions. This is a class where I will discuss concepts. When I discuss concepts, you will understand, you will gain the knowledge and you can write any other question. If at all I discuss that question, you will only write question of those lines. Okay, so how sociology is different from psychology, okay, anthropology and compare, history and compare, economics and compare. So this is the thing. And political science and sociology, interpretative sociology, explain nature, sociology as an interpretative discipline, sociology and social anthropology. Do you agree with the view that sociology can never be a science? What limitations need to be taken into consideration in the scientific study of social phenomena? Some people, we can also get this clarity on this concept in second unit. Okay, so first we will be focusing on this chapter. Let us first understand this concept, this chapter, nature and scope of sociology. So in this subunit there are 2 subparts. First subpart is nature and scope of sociology. Next thing is comparison with respect to other disciplines. Okay, other social disciplines. Okay, now so first let us discuss this. Okay, tell me, what do you understand by nature of sociology? 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 Nature and scope of sociology. Quickly, see, that is what, no, as I promised, my classes are going to be value addition to your knowledge. First let us brainstorm. I want, what do you understand by this topic, then I will give additional information.
Contemporary understanding of society.
Huh?
Contemporary understanding of society.
Nature of sociology is contemporary understanding of sociology. Very good. Perfect. Is it correct? What do you understand by nature of what do you understand by nature of sociology and scope of sociology? These two are very different.
Generalized understanding of society.
Generalized understanding of society is nature. Then what is scope of sociology?
Social change. Study of social change.
Study of social change. I want a very simple difference between what is nature and what is scope of sociology.
So nature is a core aspect.
Core aspect of sociology. What do you understand by core aspect of sociology? Contemporary, huh?
Like study of social change and social processes, institutions.
That is what is scope. Then what is nature? When I ask you, what type of a person are you? What do you try to do? You explain about yourself. You explain about yourself. What can you do is not what you do. You explain about yourself, your characteristics, your personality. Nature of sociology is simply what is sociology? What is the characteristics of sociology? What is the what do we study in sociology is scope. What is sociology? Okay, study of society. Okay, how do we study society and how societies are studying, how we use sociology and how we understand societies. Okay, so this is scope of sociology. So nature and scope of sociology is the simple point. What is sociology? What is its characteristics? Okay, what are the methods we use in sociology? So that is what is nature. And what is the scope of sociology is what does sociology cover? What are the aspects that sociology covers? So sociology covers social institutions, social structure, social process, social relations. Okay, now you understood what is nature and scope of sociology. See, very simple. This is where students are not able to understand. Basics are very much needed. Okay, so you need to understand that basics will build. If you write basics, that is more than enough. Okay. Okay, so when we are talking about what sociology is, that is nature, and what does it cover, its content, its scope, okay, that is sociology. Now when we are talking about nature of sociology, now what sociology is, let us spend few minutes on understanding nature of sociology, because see, there was a question on scope of sociology, but there was not a they never asked a question on nature of sociology. So what is nature of sociology? So what did I say? What sociology is, what are the characteristics of sociology, how we cover, how we study, what are the methods sociology developed for itself. Okay, now what sociology is? Sociology is a discipline which Very important when you are talking. Meer cheppandi in nature of sociology, what are the features of nature of sociology? Or elaborate nature of sociology. Try to dig in nature of sociology. So what is the nature of sociology? What sociology is, what are the characteristics of sociology? When you are studying about nature of sociology, what does it, how sociology studies society?
According to Durkheim, it is study of social facts.
It is study of social facts. Okay, next.
But according to Auguste Comte, it is study of social statistics.
Social statistics. See, when you are talking about nature of sociology, how what sociology, it is not what sociology studies is scope. How we study sociology, that is nature. How we study sociology. Remember, so how we study sociology, how nature of sociology is how we study sociology. In sociology, first, why, let me ask you a very simple question. What made you to take sociology?
Interesting society.
Interesting society. Let me tell you, sociology is one subject, one such discipline. It is giving a broader view of society. How it is giving a broader view of society? Because you know something about society, you are familiar with something about society, but sociology will defamiliarize the familiar. Okay, so what sociology is, when you are writing its features, so first what you write is, first point, it defamiliarizes the familiar. Yes or no? It is not explaining, does it not explain the characteristics of sociology? What is sociology? Yes, sociology is a subject which will defamiliarizes the familiar. You know something about caste system, but you don't know the actual reality of caste system. Sociologists will defamiliarize it. Sociologists will not look into specifics. Sociology will try to generalize the specific understanding or specific events. You know something about farmers movement, you know something about peasant movement, you know something about different social movements. Then sociologists will say that what are the factors behind these social movements. We will not talk about specific events. Once you understand the nature, why many students are not able to understand, do justice to relation between sociology versus other disciplines is, they don't know what is the nature of sociology. Nee gurinchi neeku teluste, when you go on a date, you will realize that whether my personality can be, her personality can complement my personality, we would become a perfect match. First you know what does sociology do. Sociology will not study specifics, it will try to generalize. That is the reason why you see sociology is one such a discipline which, if you give a random data, sociology will find a pattern. What is sociology? Sociology is a scientific study of society. What is scientific studying? It is looking at how it is studying scientifically society. It is looking into patterns, it is looking into correlations, it is looking into establishing, figuring out a proper pattern. That is sociology. Now you understand my point? Sociology is focusing on empiricism. In sociology, aren't we doing empirical study? Observation is not doing. We will next, it focuses on empiricism. You understood? So when we are studying about sociology, so sociology tries to find patterns in randomness. Okay, sociology will try to find patterns in randomness. Sociology will look into different specific events, so many events, and it will try to generalize. That is what I said. No, it will look into so many moments and it will give a characteristics of social movement. It will defamiliarize the familiar aspects you are. Next, sociology is based on empiricism. Sociology is based on empiricism. sociology is not subjective, sociology is also objective. Sociology emphasizes on objective understanding, sociology emphasizes on value neutrality. What are the methods we see in sociology? What are the methods we see? We do surveys, we do quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, next, sociology is dependent on data collection, okay, empiricism. Next, okay, and sociology is abstract, not concrete. Means what is abstract? It will find some patterns, it will generalize that. Okay, and sociology is a social science. Sociology is not a natural science. Now you understood. Now you got clarity about the person called sociology by figuring out the characteristics of that person. Now did I do justice? Nature of sociology, what sociology is? Sociology is that discipline will defamiliarize the familiar. It will find general in specifics. It will focus on empiricism. It will focus on value neutrality. It will focus on objectivity. It is a social science, not a natural science. Hypothesis building. Okay. So this is what you call as a nature of sociology. Did you get content for 10 marks? Done? That is what we needed. Is it not? ఇప్పటివరకు రాలేదు అంటే క్వశ్చన్ రావచ్చా లేదా? So till now UPSC did not ask particularly with respect to this. So they can ask.
So can we answer this question like the reductionism, what is sociology in the scientific method, and what are the features of scientific method?
No. One, sociology focuses on scientific method. That itself is a feature when we are talking about characteristics of sociology. If you are focusing more on scientific method, then it will be you are deviating from the topic. No. Okay, so these points you have to write.
You can also write it is descriptive, not descriptive.
Exactly, it is descriptive. Okay, then it is you can also write it is dynamic in nature. You can also write sociology emphasizes on social statics and social dynamics. Just now we studied sociology emphasizes on change and continuity. Okay, and in sociology there is idigu rayachu. This is in nature of sociology. You can write this. Sociology doesn't only focus on theory, but also it focuses on practical understanding, field work. Okay, and in sociology there is pure sociology and applied sociology. Pure sociology is theory building, applied sociology is solving practical problems. So that is the nature of sociology. Is it clear? Simple. Are you reading this topic for the first time? But you are not able to recall. Is it clear? Now you understood. So nature of sociology is what sociology is, what are the characteristics of sociology. This is the characteristics of sociology. Chalo. Next, scope of sociology. Next is scope of sociology. Scope of sociology means, what do you understand by scope of sociology? What sociology is nature. What is the subject matter of sociology? In the sociology, what does it include? The content, the scope. Okay, the content, the subject matter. So scope of sociology is the subject matter in sociology. So scope of sociology, you have social institutions. Yes or no? Sociology studies family, caste, tribe. Okay, so next, social process. Sociology, under sociology we study social process. Social process is conflict, cooperation. Yes. Next, social process social institution, social facts. Next, social pathologies. Next,
social actions.
social action. Yes, Weber talked about it. Social action. Okay, social action. Next, the social control. Okay, it studies about social action. Next, social action, social control. Social control అని అనొచ్చు, social regulation అని అనొచ్చు. Next, social change. Very good. So this all, see, now I think you are getting the essence of this lecture. If you sit in room and study, you will take half an hour or 40 minutes to read this basic topic. Okay, and it is also about social networking. Okay, social networks, social relationship. Okay, so this is what is scope of sociology. Okay, so take down one question. Now you understood what is the scope of sociology. Take down one question. In what way is the scope of sociology? In what way is the scope of sociology unique? Discuss. In what way is the scope of sociology unique? Discuss. Yeah. In what way is the scope of sociology unique? Sorry, online students might find, just now I realized online students might find my writing difficult. Sorry, I'll try to write. Sometimes I get carried away. Okay. Done? Okay, done. See, listen, what you have written, anyone please try to summarize quickly. You have 1 minute of time.
Interpretation of social institutions, understanding of social relations and its processes, statement in social actions which involves means and orientations.
Sorry, I did not get this point.
So, how social actions were made and evolved in the process.
Okay, next, Amir Japan.
Social processes, like to take a broader perspective, like example, take a division of labor, it studies other subjects study only economic aspect, but sociology as a unique scope studies it as a broader.
Very good, good point.
Then it studies the social systems, like if you take the technological changes, the AI, ML, it also entails into the sociology as a unique.
Okay,
Then social relationships, those are constantly evolving, that also come under the sociology scope, like living relationships, etc. And so
sorry, repeat that last point.
the uniqueness of sociology entails into how it is being perceived in the contemporary relevance, like the living relationships.
See, this is where again you are committing mistake. Stick to basic. How sociology is unique? The content, it is very simple. It is nothing but you are summarizing entire relationship of sociology with other disciplines. Why sociology has emerged as a unique discipline, that you have to write. Scope of sociology is content of sociology. What do we study in sociology? What other disciplines will not study? That is one point. That is a broader point. You have to build on that thing. Sociology is unique because sociology doesn't only study one individual event. It will generalize the event. It will not study individual. It will study the individual in social institution. Simple point. So sociology is a unique because sociology does not study only one institution or one part of the society. One institution or one part of the society. It studies entire web of social relationship, and sociology is one discipline. You can also write this. Sociology is one that discipline, how it will integrate how individual behavior, it will look into individual behavior from the context of broader social institution. How an individual is behaving in marriage institution, how an individual is behaving in family institution. Tell me one subject which is doing that. So this is how you need to write. You understand my point? Sociology is unique because it will not study one individual or one part of society. It will study individual as a whole, integrating with different social institution. First point. Second point, sociology doesn't study only facts. It will study its meaning. Just now we written, see, you have to elaborate this point. This point you have to elaborate. Content of sociology is social action. Social action, what is Weber's social action? What define Weber's idea of social action. When can an action be social? When there is a meaning attached to it and it is based on the behavior of other actor. So that is how. So there is the social action has a meaning attached to it. Okay, so you need to understand. In sociology, we will not just study fact, we will study the meaning attached to it. Sociology is both what Sociology studies broader aspects and specific aspects. Sociology overall will study about broader aspects of family, and within the family it will talk about particular event. Okay, sociology studies both broader aspects and specific aspects. Next, what else sociology studies? Sociology, when you are talking about what are the points which, okay, quickly take down the notes for these points. I'll give, because this is a question which has been repeated, and I'll give you 4-5 points. Write down. The scope of sociology is unique. The scope of sociology is unique. The scope of sociology is unique as the scope of sociology is unique as it does not study only, as it does not study only one individual or one institution. One institution, rather it studies the whole network of, it studies the whole network of social relationships. It will study the whole network of social relationship from everyday interactions, to large social, from everyday interactions to large social institutions. Okay, we are not only focusing on one individual, we are focusing one individual, how that individual is interacting with that thing. Okay, so next, sociology links, next point, why it is unique. Either word cheppaledu, no one has talked about this point when you are talking about why sociology is unique. Second point, sociology links personal issue with public aspect, public dimension. Yes or no? Concept of sociological imagination given by C. Wright Mills. Remember sociological imagination. No issue is personal, everything is public. A person is, other subject will say that a person is poor because he is lazy, but sociology will say that social privileges, his social disabilities, sociological inherences is making him poor. Yes or no? So no, sociology links personal issue with public. Next, sociology studies both. Sociology studies both structure and change. Yes or no? Sociology studies both facts and meanings. Fourth point. Next, fifth point cheppandi. Very important. Sociology studies all those aspects studied by other disciplines, but it gives a new lens. Yes or no? Economy will study poverty, but sociology will give a new lens to study poverty. Next, ఇంకా చెప్పండి, what are the other things? Sociology would study action and meanings behind, meanings attached to it. Yes or no? So this is how you need to understand. Okay, and the central, you can also write this point, the central concern of sociology is not individual, rather it is society as such. Okay, so this was a question which is asked in last year. Okay, now what is the topic? Now why I made you to write is, so question is, in what way is the scope of sociology unique? This has been asked. So tomorrow there might be a question, in what way is the scope of Indian sociology unique? Now can't you think of Indian context? Field study. Next, so okay, think on these lines. No need to write an answer. I want you to think about this question and I want you to answer tomorrow. Think and spend some time, think about it, and we'll discuss tomorrow. Because why we are spending more time on scope of sociology is, repetitively they have asked question, okay, how globalization has impacted the scope of sociology. How globalization, now think, this can also be a question, how globalization has impacted the scope of sociology. This was also a previous year question. Tell me how globalization has impacted the scope of sociology.
It has widened.
Sociology is already talking about continuity and change. It has widened that change. So we are emerging a new methodologies to study this. Earlier we have, now we are talking about digital governance. To understand that we are developing new methodologies. We are in gender studies, we are emphasizing on queer studies. We are studying on digital governance. In political limelight, how globalization is changing, how political relations are changing. Sociology is talking about that. So changing international realm of politics is also being studied by sociology. Next, how social movements are changing. Gen Z movements. This can also be asked with respect to that. Gen Z movements are taking place. So new social movements are taking place, and sociology is not shying away to study it. Sociology is not giving at the end of the day, when you are talking about this, so you have to mention this point. Sociology is not giving a judgment to the changing social world. Rather, it is providing a new lens to understand that changing social world. Like how family system is changing, sociology is emerging, studying this. Dink families, disc families, living apart families, conjugal symmetrical families, how these are changing. Sociological theories are emerging. Live-in relationship, we are talking about we are decoding the general aspects why live-in relationships are emerging. You understand my point? So how globalization has impacted scope of sociology. Okay, so like you can also talk about how changing social structures, caste structure we are understanding. We are trying to understand how new identity movements, caste identity movements are being formed, how new cultural movements are being formed, how new cultural protection movements are being formed. Okay, next, how different forms of stratifications are been emerging, new types of stratification, new types of inequalities, new dimensions. This sociology is studying. You understand my point? Social structure, how it is changing, how political process it is changing, how new forms of stratification is changing, new dimensions to this changing stratification is being discussed. So this is how you need to discuss. So this question has been asked, this question has been asked, this is the question which has not been asked. We can have an intellectual guess. This might be the prospective question for the upcoming examination. Okay. So this is the story with respect to nature and scope of sociology. Next topic, comparison of sociology with other disciplines. Sociological imagination, you know, right? No issue is personal. Everything is we looked from societal perspective. No choice is your personal. You sociological Sarat Mills will say that you think it is your personal choice to become an IAS officer, but rather Sarat Mills is saying that no, society has influenced you. Society has shaped your opinion towards that. Okay, so that is what is sociological imagination. Should I talk about sociological imagination or you understood? Sure. Now, comparison of or relationship of sociology with sociology with other disciplines. Now, relationship of sociology with other disciplines. Quickly, first you tell me what is, see, I will give you general instructions what you have to, how you have to study this topic is very simple. First, Gurtupetukondi, this is the theme, this is the broader theme which how you have to study. Remember, when you are talking about relationship of sociology with other discipline, first you try to look what are the differences between these disciplines. What is, how sociology is different from history. Next, you talk about similarities. Okay, next, interdisciplinary angle or interdependence. Okay, how both are mutually, they are not mutually exclusive. Okay, how sociology, like for that matter, when you are talking about history. Okay, first write down about the differences between sociology and history. Tell me what are the differences between sociology and history. So history studies past, sociology studies past and present. Okay, difference. And history focuses on ideographic. Okay, sociology emphasizes on neo-methetic. What is ideographic? Ideographic and no-methetic. Specific events. Okay, no-methetic is generalized understanding. So history focuses on specific events. Have you not seen that history? There is a book on, there is a chapter on Gandhi, specific event, Champaran movement, non-violent civil disobedience movement. So history focuses on specific events. Sociology understands generalized events. Okay, so in Indian history, when you look at modern Indian history, sociology will not look into specific events. It will generalize Indian freedom movement. You understand my point? So that is the difference between sociology and history, ideographic and no-methetic. Next, sociology, history goes for chronological understanding. Next, sociology goes for like sociology only, history only focuses on elite sections of the society. Yes or no? When you look into, when you study history books, you will understand when you are talking about German history, you will only understand German history from the lens of Hitler. When you talk about Indian freedom movement, you will look Indian freedom movement from the lens of Gandhi. That is Gandhi or INC, freedom movement before Gandhi, freedom movement after Gandhi. Okay, but sociology will not focus on elite sections. Sociology will focus on marginalized sections. So this is the difference between history and sociology. Are you understanding? Should I write all these things? You know these points. That is the reason why. So this is the difference between sociology versus history. Now, what are the similarities between sociology and history? Historical context or historical evidence is needed for sociological analysis. Similarities is, see, this is more important. This type of understanding you need to develop. Historical evidences are needed for sociological analysis, and sociological analysis strengthens historical underpinnings. Yes or no? Look at caste system. Caste system is analyzed by sociologists based on the history, looking at the history of caste system, and sociological analysis of caste system will strengthen the historical understanding of caste system, historical connotations of caste system. You understand my point? So that is very much needed. Okay, so that is how you need to look into this understanding. That is the reason why you see, according to Milton Singer, okay, in similarities you can write about Milton Singer. Milton Singer said that sociology becomes close to history. Milton Singer said that sociology becomes close. Sociology becomes close to history because sociology becomes close to because sociologist would become their own historians. How can you develop a sociological understanding without historical evidences? How can you understand? How can you develop a sociological understanding of Indus Valley civilization without excavation, without archaeological evidences? You understand my point? How can you talk about the social aspects of early Vedic period without evidences, text or physical evidences? So sociology becomes close to history because sociologists would become their own historians. You understand my point? And initially sociology emerged as a conjectural history. What do you understand by conjectural history? Sociology emerged as a conjectural history. Like, what do you understand by conjectural history or speculative history? Sociology emerged as a speculative history. Plato dreamt about the concept of state. Plato, Aristotle. Aren't they speculating about the society? So sociology is nothing but speculative history. Okay, now if you ask me, sir, what happens to India's caste system after 50 years? Does sociologists have an answer? Yes, we would speculate. That is what is speculative history. Now what I am doing, sociological analysis, is nothing but speculative history. My understanding will go in down the line in the history books as a history. Ambedkar imagined a society of egalitarian society. That is his understanding of society that has become a part of history. So sociology, early sociology is nothing but speculative history. Are you understanding the similarities? That next, with this understanding, you can develop interdisciplinary approach. What is that interdisciplinary approach?
Convergence.
Sociology without history is rootless. History without sociology is fruitless. This is how you need to develop. This is how you need to develop. This is not just what you say. I did not explain you the relationship between history and sociology. Within 10 minutes of time, I gave the comprehensive understanding which is shared between history versus sociology. At least, am I forcing you to think beyond? Am I forcing you to think to improve your understanding on this? This is what this is the purpose of these classes. You have to write. So then you can for that matter, you can also write, when you are talking about history versus sociology, you can bring Karl Marx. Karl Marx linked history, economy and sociology. Weber talked about economic history. Weber was an economic historian. How Weber was an economic historian? He talked about capitalism, but he talked about capitalism from the underpinnings of Protestant ethics and spirit of capitalism. Similarities, can't you write all these aspects? Okay. Similarities, you can talk about all these aspects. Then you can write. So sociology and history are not dialectical disciplines. Okay. So both the disciplines are sharing common data, approaches, and sociological theories are largely borrowed from by historians. And so therefore we can conclude that sociology without history is rootless, and history without sociology is fruitless. Simple. Next, going to other thing, sociology versus. Okay, are you understanding? Are you making the essence of what I am discussing? Next, sociology versus anthropology. I will not discuss all the subjects. Let us end with sociology versus anthropology, because rest you know. Okay. Sarle malli mere time waste chesaru naku telusu. I know, again if at all I not discuss all the aspects, again you will waste time, because at the end of, see, online students, the intention of these classes is, these classes, we did not discuss any aspect till now in this class. I promise you, these videos are recorded in the YouTube. From these videos only, I am writing on the board also, I am showing the presentations. From these videos, definitely 90% of the questions will be reflected. We are not leaving any area. Syllabus we are covering completely. If you read till now what we have discussed in 2 hours of lecture, not even 2 hours, I think 1 hour 45 minutes. So if you read on your own, you would have spending around 1 or 1.5 day. You can understand the essence of this lecture. I am consolidating, I am trying to simplify, I am trying to give you insights, I am making you to think. Okay, so this initiative is to make you reach that highest mark. I will not say 300. Okay, so reach that highest mark. Okay, now sociology versus anthropology. Start with the difference. Anthropology studies. What does anthropology study? What does sociology study? Huh? So anthropology studies the man, then sociology studies man in society or systematic study of society. Okay, so anthropology studies, the focus of study of sociology is it studies the man. Okay, anthropology is the study of man, and anthropology is the study of sociology is the systematic study of society. Next, first we are writing differences. Next, anthropology studies simple societies. Next, sociology studies complex societies. Next, తొందరగా you have to discuss. What else? Anthropology. Okay, anthropology. Ethnocentrism. Okay, next, anthropology. Very good. Next, anthropology is a discipline which is used by Western scholars, by colonial rulers, to understand colonies. Okay, yes or no? So that is the reason why anthropologists have first administrators have used anthropologists. Okay, and based on this, later this anthropologist started to venture into studying different aspects of societies, and based by taking Indian sociologist, you can write this also. You can write Western anthropologists studied Indian societies for administrative convenience. Indian sociologists studied Indian society to move close to get the clear understanding of Indian society. So this is how you can write about difference between sociology and anthropology. And so anthropology focuses on studying of physical, biological aspects, evolutionary aspects. So anthropology focuses on studying physical, biological, evolutionary aspects. But sociology focuses on what? Social aspects and cultural aspects. And sociology not only focuses on this aspect, sociology focuses on all the aspects. Okay, so this is how you differentiate. Now, how can you talk about similarities between sociology and anthropology? Differences also you can also talk about when differences between sociology and anthropology. Sociology has unique methods of research. In methods of research, sociology and anthropology is also different. So these are the, now till now what we discussed, differences. What did I give you the theme? Differences, similarities and interrelationship. Now when it comes to similarities, what are the similarities? Similarities between sociology and anthropology. Quickly let me know. Subject matter also changes. See, what is the major similarity between sociology and anthropology is, listen carefully. When we are talking about anthropology, what happened was, anthropology did not have research. Anthropology did not have its own methods. Okay, what happened was anthropological scholars, you know Malinowski borrowed research methods from the thinkers like Emile Durkheim. Emile Durkheim gave a theory on social facts and Weber gave a theory on social action, and this was borrowed. Okay, social fact social fact and Durkheim theory of social fact and social structure, both social fact and color, there would be a problem with this color, social fact and social structure. This social fact and social structure, this methodology how Durkheim studied social fact and social structure have influenced Malinowski and A.R. Radcliffe Brown. So this you have to write. Methodology used in sociology was borrowed by anthropologists from sociologists. Later, this methodology which is followed by anthropologists was later all borrowed by sociologists like Talcott Parsons and R.K. Mutton. You know this concept? Have you studied this? So this is very important. This is there in the standard books. This is not there in that material of institutions. Why we are talking more about anthropology and see, because I am taking this, last year there was a question on history, no? This year there might be a question on anthropology. Okay, so social, so methodological, you just need to write about this in a simple statement. Now what you have to write is, we see similarities, we see a methodological exchange happened between sociologists and anthropologists. Methodologies which is been adopted by Durkheim is been borrowed by anthropologists like Malinowski, Radcliffe Brown. Later these methodologies of anthropologists has been borrowed by sociologists like Talcott Parsons and Mutton. So this we see the exchange. That is the reason why sociology and anthropology are also called as twin sisters. Yes or no? Next, sociology studies complex societies, anthropology studies simple societies. And you know, in Western societies, similarities, in Western societies, simple societies are becoming extinct. So Western anthropologists are converting into sociologists. So earlier anthropologists are present, sociologists. Is it not the similarities? So sociology and anthropology share similarities. Okay, that you can write. Next, you can also write about you can also quote about Andre Bethe. He said that, Andre Bethe said that, pointed out that in case of India, anthropology and sociology is a matter of choice. He said this, it is just matter of choice. You can become an anthropologist or sociologist. It's same like in a coaching institute, there is only 2 optionals. Okay, it's a matter of choice. And many Indian sociologists were trained by erstwhile anthropologists, because anthropologists came to India to study Indian society. Okay, so this is how you can talk about this aspect. Okay.
Sir, this is the ideological background is behind that India is still lives in the simple society.
No, India is not simple society. Earlier India was considered as a simple societies. And for that matter, if you compare with Western Indian society, you can say India is a simple society, because in West there is simple societies have become extinct. Rural way of livelihood లేదు, urbanization more than 50% ఉంది. We have that. Sociology studies rural dynamics. అలా అంటే okay. But you understood similarities. So that is the reason why scholars called this sociology and anthropology as a twin sisters. Now when it comes to sociology versus psychology, so sociology versus psychology, next sociology versus psychology, చెప్పండి. Psychology studies depression, anxiety, cognitive aspects. Sociology studies broader aspects, individual in social setup. Okay, sociology doesn't study individual, sociology studies individual from the perspective of society. That is the reason why, you know, when it comes to difference, you need to write this point, very important. I think I am giving you all the important points to be written in the answer. In difference, Durkheim quote, Durkheim study is very much important. Theory of suicide is very much important, and by quoting this theory of suicide, you should say, give the example of theory of suicide, very good, and say that Durkheim said that sociology starts where psychology ends. Now Durkheim, but J.S. Mill said that no, sociology and psychology are same. Okay, J.S. Mill said that, like when you are talking about J.S. Mill, okay, what is social? J.S. Mill is differences is been talked by Durkheim. Okay, but similarities, thinkers who brought sociology and psychology together. Who are the scholars who brought sociology and psychology close together? One is J.S. Mill. He said that what is social is individual. At the end of the day, society is made by individual. No. So J.S. Mill said that what is social, that is individual. You cannot have social unless you have individual. So when we are talking about similarities, J.S. Mill said that what is social is individual. What is social, that is individual. You cannot have individual. You cannot have social. You cannot have social unless you have individual. Okay. So that is how J.S. Mill said that psychology forms the basic of social science. Okay. Now J.S. Mill koncham complicated, that is the reason why I said. Apart from that, which is that sociologist who brought sociology and psychology close? Weber. How?
Social action is
Social action. Simple. అర్థమవుతుంది కదా ఇప్పుడు మీకు. Now are you able to think social action? He said that behind any social action there is a meanings and motives attached. So Weber said that social actions are driven by meanings and motives. Weber said that social actions are driven by meanings and motives. When we study and when we interpret these meanings and motives, sociology emerged. Okay, so that is the reason why for a good sociological research, for a valuable sociological outcome, a sociologist have to become a good psychologist. That is how we are developing this interpretation. Okay, political science, sociology versus political science. Political science talked about power only from institution legal perspective. But sociology talked about power in every dimension of social life, in family, patriarchy, that. Political science, major difference is this. What else? What is the difference between political science and sociology? చెప్పండి తొందరగా.
Political science studies the structures of institutions.
Structures of institution, power structures in institutions.
Sociology studies about the ideology behind those social structures.
Ideology behind those social structure. Okay.
For example, voting is an political structure.
Yes. So yes. Voter behavior will be studied by sociology. Okay. Voter outcomes power will be studied by voter behavior and voter outcomes more or less will be studied by sociology. So but political science will look into power structure in different institutions, and very important, political science will only depend on text and surveys, but sociology will do field study. Political scientists will say how much is the voting pattern, but sociology will explain the reason behind that voting pattern. Very important. So if you are able to develop this crux in your answer, done. Okay, so these are the relation between sociology and other disciplines. Next, what is needed is, there was a question which has been asked about multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. How sociology or other disciplines are also emerging as multidisciplinary. Means nothing but how we are talking about historical behavioral sociology, we are talking about economic aspect of sociology. So within the sociology, how economic sociology is developing, historical sociological historical sociology, or history is linked with sociology. So these subparts under this sociology is emerging. Like if you want to understand climate change, you need to understand the historical understanding before you develop a sociological understanding. So history is helping in developing a sociological understanding. If you want to understand, you need to understand the economic dimension. If you need to understand climate change, you need to understand geographical dimension. You need to understand the political dimension, like common but differentiated responsibility. We'll be talking about political understanding. So multidisciplinary approach or interdisciplinary approach is developing, they have been asking. So means nothing but what is multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach? Multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach is how can you develop a sociological understanding by building historical understanding, economic understanding, psychological understanding, political understanding that is needed. For suppose when you take education system, you cannot develop an sociological understanding and educational system without looking into history of education system in India, without looking into economic aspect of education system before subsequent governments, how much they have spent on economy. Next, without looking into geographical dimensions, also without looking into political dimensions. Okay, political dimensions, erstwhile what are the political powers which control education system, upper caste control education system. So this is how we are developing multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approaches. So that also from there also questions are being asked. Okay, so very important, anything like historical sociology, political sociology, branches are being emerged. Within the sociology we are developing economic sociology, historical sociology, political sociology, geographical sociology. That is how we are being developed. So now you understood what is multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. If you want to develop an sociological understanding of one system or one aspect, you need to have certain basics. Okay.
So some examples like J.H. Murray's historical sociology, J.H. Murray, economic sociology, Karl Marx,
Economic sociology, Karl Marx. Economic sociology, Karl Marx.
Political power and majority means Weber and Syllabus means
Yes.
social or something means
That is how.
every book is all this.
Yes, you have. That is why. See, that is a reason why you in many books you won't find this. How Andhra Bete talked about anthropology. You have taken down the notes, no? So when you are talking about J.S. Mill, or when you are talking about Weber with respect to why I am saying is you have to include thinkers. Comparisons you cannot write very simply. Everyone will write simply. When you are talking about history versus sociology, everyone will write about idiographic nomenclature. ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి ఫస్ట్ ఎసెన్షియల్ సోషాలజీ చదివిన వాళ్ళకి కూడా అది ఐడియా ఉంటుంది చార్ట్ చూసినాం. బట్ ఐఎమ్ నాట్ రిస్ట్రిక్టింగ్ టు ఎసెన్షియల్ సోషాలజీ. By this time you might have understood. We are not restricting to that. How to improve your answer, giving more insights to that. Okay, next, last. So see, that is the reason why see in nature versus scope of sociology you will come about with Auguste Comte. Okay, nature of sociology you cannot understand without these thinkers. Auguste Comte, so he considered father of sociology, argued that society evolves through intellectual stages and sociology should study society scientifically. That is the nature. Next, Emile Durkheim talked about social facts. Weber talked about that. Herbert Spencer. So in scope of sociology there are two schools, synthetic schools and formal school. What is the difference between synthetic school and formal school? Formal school, simple ga cheptanu chudandi. Formal school said that we will restrict our sociology. We have a limited scope of sociology where sociology will only study what other disciplines cannot study. Synthetic school said that anything under the sky we will study. So that is who are the scholars, synthetic scholars. Durkheim, they were. Auguste Comte were synthetic school. Formal school were Weber, George Simmel, these people. So synthetic school said that synthetic school is saying that sociology can study everything under the sun. So they are engaged in celebrating sociology, sociocentrism, because they 10 marks question they can ask. Okay, and synthetic school and formal school is also giving us idea about scope of sociology. Very important. Okay, in scope of sociology you have to write about these schools also. They are engaged in celebrating sociology because they believe sociology is synthesis of all the social sciences, hence can study everything which is dealt by. So synthetic skill is nothing but interdisciplinary approach where within the sociology there are so many branches. So the branches of sociology according to synthetic school is, according to Durkheim, social morphology, social physiology, general sociology. In the particularly I don't think they will ask about synthetic and formal school, but anyways, social morphology means he is not talking social morphology. Durkheim is saying that social morphology is within a territory and within a geography you are understanding that aspect. So concerned with geographical or territorial basis of life such as volume, demography and social morphology, demographic study, population study, forms of migration, sex ratio, that comes under social morphology. Social physiology concerned with every part of social life like economic organization, social organization, political organization, cultural organization. General sociology deals with theories which could explain social facts. Maurice Ginsburg, more or less, he is also talking about that. Tonis, Simmel, Weiss and Weber talked about are formal school. What they said that like sociology should deal with problems not dealt by any other social sciences. Okay, so sociology should study various forms and patterns of interactions within a social institutions, conflict, cooperation, subordination, superordination, centralization and decentralization. Okay, so sociology should study social action and exclude non-social action. Non-social action is reflexive action. which don't have a social meaning. Okay, they are saying that everything will study. See, why I am showing this PPT is, now that we have revised different sociology versus other disciplines. I have given you a chart. Okay, history will study past events. What sociology will study? Sociology studies recurring events. Social process. History studies only unique events. So what is the relationship between history and sociology? This is how I try to give you. Okay, history studies past events. Okay, what is the central focus of sociology? What happened? Of history? What happened in the past? Methodology, historical records, archives, chronology. How sociology defines? Sociology studies recurring social patterns and social process. Only history studies unique events. Okay, idiographic and mnemotechnic. Economics will study production, but sociology studies social relations behind economy. Next, economy is embedded in sociology. So this is how I try to compare. Okay, I try to give particular issues also. Once you go through last moment revision also, if you go through, you will have. See, sociology is focusing on social relations. History is focusing on historical events. Economy is focusing on economic real. Sociology focuses on present and past. History focuses on past. Economy focuses on market oriented. This is how. When sociology is focusing on social structure, history is focusing on chronology. So I gave the thinkers also. అన్నీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోని అవసరం లేదు. Karl Marx used historical data. See, Emil Durkheim, Weber, Karl Marx. Okay, they are more important. When it comes to psychology, you cannot ignore Durkheim. You cannot ignore Weber. When it comes to history, you cannot ignore Karl Marx and Weber. That is more needed. So this way your answer will be thinkers loaded, but not thinkers dumped. And why people are not getting good marks in comparison is because of this reason. Okay, anthropology. As I said, no, sociology and anthropology are twin sisters. Who have given? A.L. Kroeber has given that. Next, Talcott Parsons adopted anthropological functionalism to industrial societies. I talked about it. From Radcliffe Brown and Malinowski, Parsons and Mutton borrowed. So I have given this. So just if you go for 15 to 20 minutes, you will make the essence of it. Sociology and common sense. What is the difference? What do you understand by sociology? What do you understand by common sense and sociology? What is common sense? Unreflective knowledge is common sense. Taken for granted is common sense. Hereditary knowledge which is been transferred is common sense. Traditional knowledge, stereotypes is common sense. That is what? Taken for granted is common sense. What about sociology? Sociology is reflective. Sociology is scientific. Okay, you understand my point? So that is how you need to understand sociology and common sense. Okay, so common sense explain. What is the question? See, what is common sense? How are common sense knowledge and sociology related to each other? First you have to write difference, related to each other. Next you have to write relationship. So common sense is providing the base for sociological understanding. So common sense knowledge is providing the hypothesis for sociological research. Common sense knowledge, if at all we have put for scientific investigation, then it will become sociological outcome, sociological research. That you need to write. Okay. Common sense is localized knowledge and common sense is spatial and temporal. Common sense knowledge is very narrow. Sociological knowledge is universal. Okay, stereotypes are narrow, but universal ideas are given by sociology. Very important. So what is the difference between common sense is localized knowledge based on everyday experience. Sociology is generalized knowledge based on systematic inquiry. Personal experience, customs and traditions are common sense. Observation, evidence, concepts and theories are sociology. Limited to particular society, groups or place or time. Seeks explanation applicable across societies and thing. Okay. Like, can you give an example for this? Scope, spatial and temporal. Men are good rulers will be said by common sense. Okay, there are many great rulers in history, many great men rulers in history will be said by sociology. Okay, so that is how limited to particular society, group, place or time. Informal understanding will be focused by common sense. Scientific and systematical investigation taker for granted is common sense. Critical examinations and assumptions accepted, common sense knowledge is accepted because everyone knows it, accepted after empirical understanding. Okay, influenced by biases and prejudices, strives for objectivity and value neutrality. Selective, okay, fragmented understanding of social life. It common sense knowledge is fragmented knowledge. Focuses on interconnections among institutions and process. Okay, this is how you need to understand. So when sociology, common sense is done critical scrutiny, then it will give to rise to empirical verification and it will lead to sociology. Okay, so this is how you need to understand. So what is the difference between sociology and common sense, which is given by thinkers? Critics of common sense, which is given by thinkers. Karl Marx said that common sense often reflects dominant ideologies and provides only a particular understanding of reality. Did he talk about that or not? Taken for granted. Emile Durkheim, common sense perceptions are prejudices that can distort scientific analysis. Okay, Alfred Scrooge, social reality should be understood through subjective meanings rather than purely scientific methods. Okay, so means nothing but they are trying to bring conciliation between sociology and common sense. Okay, so lines which you can be used in this. Have you understood what is how? See, first of all, you have to write the difference between sociology and common sense. Next, you should understand how common sense knowledge is acting as the first point of sociological research. All the taken for granted knowledge is been scrutinized. No, like men are superior is a common sense knowledge. This has been scrutinized by sociology. So first, common sense has become the starting point of sociological research, and common sense provide hypothesis for sociological research. Common sense shows the hidden power relations in society if it is undergone through scientific investigations. Okay, means nothing but if at all a sociological understanding is done through common sense knowledge, it will be refined. Okay, so that is how you need to understand. But common sense sociology clarity, when can we understand? You have developed a comprehensive understanding on common sense and sociology is over a time period of time. Over a time period of time, sociological knowledge itself becomes common sense. So this is how this should be reflected in your answers. Difference, similarities, how Alfred Scrooge talked about bringing sociology and common sense together, but how sociologists like Durkheim, Karl Marx differentiated sociology and common sense, that you have to write. Okay, so this is how we finish with first chapter. Done? I think we in this 2.5 hours or 2 hours 15 minutes we finished on an average 50 marks. Okay, so tomorrow we will start with chapter 2. Online students, for material we will give you the link. In that link we will be posting you, okay, or you can join my Telegram channel, okay. So I have given you in the video, okay. So my Telegram channel is, and now I am not giving Telegram channel because it has been banned, okay. So my Telegram channel is Decode Civils with Vinay. So in that Telegram channel I will post it, okay. So see, simple point, one thing I want to share, there is so much of additional information which is given apart from this presentation. In this presentation you will also have model answers also, okay. You have model answers also, you can go through this model answers. At one place I have given all the things, and I also did not give all the model answers. Model answers would, how I have given is diverse answers which are asked from the topic, that I have included, okay. So if you read this PPT, it will give a comprehensive understanding of this chapter, that is for sure. So tomorrow again we will meet at 5 o'clock. Thank you.